Alright, what is going on YouTube? Nili versus Miguel. This is the 6th round of the Redbull Wololo 4 qualifiers. The winner here gets a chance to play in the decider game in a hope to qualify for the main event tomorrow. We're going to have this one going from like semi-recorded games. What that means is that they are playing right now, but they started before we actually were able to start casting, but I decided to go like to start from the beginning. So in downtimes, I will probably do a bit of a fast forwarding so we can actually keep or catch up with the live feed eventually. We'll have Miguel with Japanese, Vietnamese, Berbers, Malians, Indians, Magyars, and Nili with the Khmer, Franks, Ethiopians, Portuguese, Koreans, and Byzantines overall. With that being said, let's jump into game number 1 over here. So we are at Runestones. Nili is going to be playing Ethiopians in yellow to the south. To the north, it is going to be Miguel as Japanese in red. Japanese is an interesting civilization pick, I have to say, for this map. I am a little bit puzzled on what Miguel was thinking here. Because, like, Japanese archers are not special by any means. It's not like you're getting any major benefit for new drop-off buildings. I'm really puzzled by Miguel going for Japanese here, as Nili finds an opportunity to try and yoink a will away from the opponent. Other side, Nili is opening archers as well. That's a little bit more predictable, I would say. But I actually prefer Ethiopians here by a massive margin over Aztecs. Although if this goes into like a skirm and archer warfare, the Japanese could switch into cavalry a lot nicer than Ethiopians can. Nili coming in with some wars. On the left side, so is Miguel. So this is an excellent time to do a little bit of a fast forwarding over here. As I said, we will try our best to catch up with the live game. So in segments like this one, where there's actually nothing happening, just walling, we will just do like that. So yeah, hopefully we'll actually catch up with the live feed eventually. So at this point, it looks like it's going to be a very, very passive game. Miguel is just scouting with Spearman, he's staying home with the archers, and both players are sort of booming into Castle Age here. This actually is very helpful to catch up with the live games, because guess what? This allows me to fast forward quite rapidly. So let's see what we got. Nili is actually massing a huge amount of archers, and this is the first time that we are going to have to slow down, because we have an engagement. So Miguel is bringing in quite a lot of skirmishers, something that was predictable against Ethiopians. Nili is going to go for a siege workshop here to defend, and also sort of re-wall those walls. No villagers were lost so far. Crossbows are going to be in for both sides, and Nili is actually going to lose that siege workshop, or at least I don't think that he's going to be able to finish this one with that many crossbows around. He's gonna have Ethiopian crossbows though, so faster firing rate is guaranteed. Fast ballistics from Miguel over here, who already reinforced his walls with 2 layers. And Nili is also gonna go for the fast ballistics over here. Looks like he will be able to secure that siege workshop foundation for himself eventually. So he's bringing a new will as he's venturing out here. No elite skirm for Miguel, so Nili can be more confident moving out now. And for the time being, there's 2 wolves over here. What are those wolves up to? I'm scared. So the Siege Workshop Foundation will be turning into a completed Siege Workshop in a matter of moments, and the Mangonel will start coming out of that. So as long as there is no elite scrim here from the Japanese player, this is actually a tough battle for him. Because, okay, there is a will killed. That's the first will kill of the game. So it's a tough battle for Japanese against Ethiopians as long as they don't have, you know, like actual elite skirms. Speaking of Japanese and Ethiopians, here is Miguel with a couple of crossbows on the left side of Nili's base trying to deny wood lines. Nili sends 4 crossbows that way, and more importantly, Nili sends a huge amount of crossbows towards Miguel. Miguel probably feels that the crossbows are coming his way, and he's actually going to abandon this wood line. And one thing I would like to highlight is that Miguel's entire base is double layer walled, which means that's going to be insanely hard for Nili to break into Miguel's base. Speaking of Miguel, he picks off 2 villas from Nili over here as well. Might have even been 3, because now the villager KD is 4-0, and Miguel is actually on a free TC boom. So this is gonna be a rough one for Nili to fight. It is... this might be a weak spot on the wall, so Nili could technically break in there, and that would be extremely helpful. Now he intercepts the army of Miguel here with a mangonel, and the second mangonel is coming from the other side. Miguel, he wasn't looking here, and Miguel is going to lose quite a lot of crossbows here to the mangonel. The other mangonel comes out from the other side, and Miguel could lose all of his precious army here on the front. Added to the fact that this is 17 crossbows versus 8 here for Miguel, and suddenly his army numbers are no longer looking that amazing. With elite skirms he could easily compensate, but he may have gone for a too eco-heavy approach. Like, this was just too greedy, and I guess that was his game plan, because he went full double layer woes everywhere. But there was an exception here. And because of that, Nili can break into his base, and now Miguel is in trouble because he doesn't really have the army. He's going to unpop some more forces, and the Scorpion is still alive. But at this point, Nili, I think, has the initiative because he's the one taking down the crossbows one by one, and he's the one that will just keep pressuring the base of Miguel. Now, Miguel still has 3 TCs, but quite a lot of idle time on him, and when Nili brings up the mangonels, suddenly the life of that Scorpion is going to be a lot worse. It looks like Nili will just go for the archer range with the first shot, then slowly pushes up with the mangonel to the north, and we are gonna have some more skirms popping out here for Miguel. Nili, let's see if he finds a will kill here on the wood line. Nope, Miguel reacts just in time. At this point, however, despite the fact that Miguel was 3 TCs for longer time than Nili was, the villager count is still very, very close. So 3 TCs versus 3 TCs now, and Nili is only 6 vills behind. And he doesn't have wheelbarrow, neither does Miguel, so most of that comes from TC idle time for Nili, I would assume, and the fact that his opponent was actually faster to 3 TCs than he was. Now, Nili starts mining stone really heavily over here, which raises a massive question whether or not he will try to go for a super aggressive castle. It could make sense because he's the underdog in this set, and because of that, he might feel like he doesn't want to drag out the game. Just wants to be a little bit more aggressive and just drop a castle in the opponent's face. Over here, mangonel pops out. It takes an uphill shot but still finishes off Nili's mangonel. And as things stand, Miguel is just playing a very, very defensive game. And in order to break a defense like this one for Nili, I would say what he would need is a castle drop. Like, a castle here would destroy these production buildings and open up this area to assault, plus it would deny the stone mine as well. So there would be a lot of benefits from a castle here for Nili. He's at 370 in terms of stone. Neither of the players are close to Imperial just yet, as Miguel now is going for the elite skirm play. Here come the elite skirms and the mangonels. Nili's only tool to defend against the elite skirms will be mangonels, so he's gotta be careful about those. He yoinks relic from the middle in between the runestones. That is why this map is called Runestones, by the way. As Miguel also loops around with 4 crossbows, or at least I assume that he was looking for an enemy group of units with these crossbows, but now they are done, and they're just patrolling left and right over here. So Miguel could find a better use for them elsewhere. And it looks like we're gonna have a big clash right between the Runestones. Miguel splits away from that mangonel, but that split wasn't perfect. He hits a big mangonel shot, that's a 1-for-1 trade, and at the end of the day, Nili loses under mangonel, but Miguel lost a decent amount of skirmishers over here in the process. And if you add it to the fact that Nili still has probably better army numbers, this may have not been enough for Miguel. And for whatever reason, Miguel opened up his walls here, which means that now Nili could walk in there if he wants to, allowing him to get to the back of Miguel's base if he actually wants to commit against that. Regardless, Nili's gonna go for a castle in the middle, as Miguel will think about going into Imperial over here. This castle should have no trouble going up. So Miguel's gonna beat Nili to Imperial, most likely to, like, elite skirms. So the question is, what is Nili going to do against that? Technically, Arbalest, Torsion, and Genealoger could actually work out nicely for Nili over here. Here come the mangonels once again. That was a beautiful fight for Miguel. That was beautiful. He just took down so many crossbows, and eventually Nili's gonna click up as well, as Miguel will make a defensive castle over here, understanding that he's under heavy pressure, so he's gonna need something to defend his base with, plus he will need traps to take this castle down. It looks like we're going to see indeed the lead skirms for Miguel over here, as we do have a couple of crossbows harassing Nili's wood lines over here at the back. They didn't really inflict that much damage, so overall the villager KD is 7-3. That wasn't really a massive factor overall. So, chemistry bracer on the way for Miguel, as the question for Nili is how is he going to deal with the elite skirms, because Torsion Engine Onager would be amazing, but Onagers is an expensive upgrade, Torsion Engines is very, very expensive, so it would take quite time until Nili gets there. Now, one thing I like about Nili's position here is that he has eyes on Miguel's eco. So he knows exactly when Miguel is leaving his base, where Miguel is going. Look at this vision for Nili. This is so, so good. And if you add it to the fact that Nili is already picking up relics, he's at 3, this is looking like a good one for Nili so far. It's not a win yet by any means, this is still a very much open game, but map control wise this looks pretty decent for Nili. Now the main question, as I said, is how is he going to deal with the elite skirms though? Like, considering it's full elite skirms, he could make a couple of shuttle warriors and just clean these up. Like, 5 shuttle warriors would eat these for breakfast. Now, the Japanese, especially if they get caught up roto, their traps will just take down the opponent's traps really easily here. Nili is not even going for a trap himself. Instead, he tries to mango down the opponent's base, and oh, he actually found the hole here. Nili found the hole, and look at Nili. He's using his inner Viper here with the quick gate, although this was a bad decision because this way the stable isn't finished. And, I mean, if there's a hole there, the skirms can still leave, so I'm not sure if this was actually worth it. Elite skirms are now inside Nili's base as well, and a lot of chaotic things happening. At the same time, Nili's Arbs will clean up the skirms over here. The skirms are now having +4 defense. These guys could still do some damage here as Nili is repairing with the castle. He could take the hill here, that could be an advantage for him. Plus he could go Bombard Cannon, and indeed, Bombard Cannon micro is something that Nili considers one of his biggest strengths. So, and he actually is indeed very, very good with Bombard Cannon micro. Nili really wants to win here. He is actually stonewalling off the stone over there. Miguel's gonna have a castle up in that area. But once the Bombard Cannons are out for Nili, I think Nili can actually take down those traps from his opponent. And it very much seems like the Ethiopian Arbs are just eating up the skirmishers of our red player Miguel here. Ecos are still relatively close. And yeah, oh, there's a Shoulder Warrior, so Nili made a couple of them to try and kill some Vills. They won't kill a lot because the castle's gonna clean them up, but I mean, they will still be somewhat annoying here and pick off a couple of Vills. Nili brings in the Bombard Cannon, and while Miguel is fighting this one, and while Miguel is, you know, focusing down the Shoulder Warriors with the castle, Nili is gonna take down his trap. And as I said, this could also be an annoying thing here if Nili starts coming in with cavalry, and indeed Nili is popping out some knights, but more importantly is the Ethiopian Arbalests, soon to be supported by Bombard Cannons, and Torsion Engines also affect Bombard Cannons. The Torsion Engines Bombard Cannons are actually pretty scary to fight against, as Miguel's having some gold control issues. I'm now seeing that. He's running out of this gold mine, he ran out of his primary gold, and his secondary gold here is inaccessible. He's trying to take this gold mine and he's going for Samurai to protect those, but at this point Nili might be playing the gold control game. Bit of an exchange of fire over here on the left side. The skirmishers help Miguel prevail over there. Nili is on 3 relics, by the way, and he still has like a significant map control, but I just feel like there is not enough penetration power, so to say, from him at this point. We're gonna have the Bombard Cannons moving up, and Nili loves his Bombard Cannons, that's for sure. So, especially if you get Torsion Engines for his Bombard Cannons, those will be very, very good. That's a little sloppy from Nili losing a Bombard Cannon to the Castle Fire. As on the other side, Nili is going to use the villagers to take down those traps. It's very, very sloppy from Miguel letting those traps out here without any support. He's gonna have the Arbs and Skirms now to clean those up, but one trap might actually fall to that. Samurai raids coming in here, look at this. Nili's wood line here is not really amazing anyways, so these villagers deserve to die because, well, this wood line looks ugly, but it looks like Nili is not noticing this, and that's a lot of vills killed. So far, Miguel has killed 41 vills from Nili, and he only lost 16. This is looking better and better for Miguel, because Nili is losing all the precious map control that he has had so far. He's still playing resource denial game, which could work out, but I feel like Miguel is doing more and more pressure on Nili's eco. Now, these bombard cannons are dangerously mispositioned. What is Nili doing? Nili? Okay, he realized that he's doing something absolutely awful here, and the vills could have just rushed down that group of bombard cannons. But now Nili is going to start pushing up the left side, and it looks like this is going to be like a longer game or so. Nili still has, as I said, 3 relics, and technically could pick up this one. This one seems inaccessible right now. And with the bombard cannons, he still is gonna have a massive advantage over here. He's shelling these vills over here. Torsion engines would be beautiful for Nili, both Pronagers or for bombard cannons against elite skirms. And it looks like we're gonna have Miguel taking into infantry. I wonder what for, though. Maybe he's seeing more and more skirms from Nili and he's thinking about samurai, or it could be halberdiers as a preemptive measure to deal with Nili's light cavalry. So that is going to be very, very sloppy from Nili there. Oh my goodness. 2 bombard cannons go down to the castle fire. Still, Nili is microing 5 things at the same time, so I don't necessarily blame him for this, although this is gonna be a scary force getting into his base. Nili is trying to take into light cav as he's shelling the castle on the left side. The right side, he's still trying to best to push this position, but that so far wasn't really doable for him. He is still even in terms of villager count compared to Miguel, but I mean, Miguel has been killing villagers left and right from Nili. He needs to avoid losing more vills here because he's losing way too much. Now, that's 5 bombard cannons, and while it's a valiant effort from the samurai to rush out and save their lord in the castle, it's not going to work out because the Arbalest hold this hill, and Miguel runs out of stone, something that doesn't really have good access to because of these Vos laming his stone mine. So it's very possible that Miguel's gonna lose this castle. Left side castle also goes down, so no longer has Miguel any map control with the castles, which means that the light cavs can run whatever they want, and they will just, you know, take down vills left and right. And also, Miguel doesn't have gold either, so this secondary gold and this neutral gold is all being denied from Miguel. This is looking really good for Nili now. He's playing the resource control game really nicely. And now he's taking into light cavalry. Nili, I saw light cavalry and even Hussar being researched from him. He is just not getting Hussar in. I think Nili is just going to try and play this one safely. He's not going to overextend. I like how he's taking this gold away from his opponent. As much as he can, just take it away, because every bit of gold could matter that much. As Miguel sort of mismicros his army in here. Or is it a mismicro? Nope. He's trying to dive in to snap that bombard cannon. He will be successful in that, so it's a nice snipe after all. Nili on the right side now has, I think, definitive map control. And he's just waiting for the Hussar to arrive in numbers, and they will be able to overrun either Miguel's eco or just Miguel's skirmishers flat out. As Nili is trying to counter-trap this one. The wood price is still pretty decent, which allows Miguel to sell a decent amount for like reasonable gold income. As the vills are trying to take down the bombard cannon here, and Miguel resigns after seeing that he's just out of gold and he can't access it. Miguel losing game number 1, and with that, Nili takes the first game. Now the question is, did the second game already finish? Because if it did, yeah, it did. So we're gonna have to continue from recorded games in the second one as well. Once again, I'm hoping that we can actually catch up to the live feed at some point. But obviously, it is like we started later because, you know, the other set didn't end when they started, but I wanted to cast the full set. So we will be going into game number 2. I will need like half a minute or so to get the recorded game for this one. By the way, in terms of civilizations, I now see why Japanese was the pick for Miguel. Miguel messed up the civ selection and accidentally selected a civ that Nili drafted. So Nili asked about it on the player Discord, and the admin said that in this situation, Nili can choose a civilization from Miguel's lineup to Miguel. So that is why Miguel played with Japanese. Miguel actually had a rough start there because, as I said, he messed up the civ selection. Regardless, we're going into Frigid Lake over here for game number 2. We're going to have Nili on the right side as Khmer, potentially the best civilization on this map because you can't make farms around your TC because of these shallows, so you need a civilization that can make farms anywhere without drop-off buildings. Khmer is an excellent for that. Somewhat unexpectedly, Nili is going for an archer opening. Other side, it is Malians for Miguel in red, which is a decent civilization for this map. Cheaper buildings allow you to go for a range and potentially a dock in the middle as well. Nili comes in here with the scout, the quick spearman out already for Miguel to try and chase it. As Miguel's going for some early wars over here, whereas Nili is going to do the exact same. Now, I think Nili's got the civ advantage here, because archer-wise, Malians will not have Bracer. So technically, if this continues to be like an archer war, then the Khmer will be very happy to take that into Imperial. Cavalry-wise, Malians should have the upper hand over the opponent. Once again, we will try to, you know, get up a little bit faster, just to make sure that we can actually catch up to the live feed. Eventually, because the live set does have breaks in it, so like players take 2 or 3 minutes in between games, I assume that we can catch up relatively soon. But regardless, Doc is coming in here for Nili. He's housed for a moment, and Doc comes up as well for Miguel. When this map was introduced in Redbull, which was I think Redbull Wololo 2, it was somewhat debated on how much of an importance the lake has in terms of building docks. Because there's some fish, but it's contested, and you might be better off if you just fly it on land flat out. But over time, it seems like the control of the lake actually became an important thing, because it could give you a nice and extra food eco, and more importantly, it can help you like sink the opponent's fleet here with demos or so. Oops. Yeah, sorry, I muted myself. I was drinking and I forgot to unmute myself. But anyways, what I was saying is that yes, Nili is open here and he sees that. And what I was also saying is that it was a mistake that he has attacked with that scout, because he could have kept this open without Miguel noticing for the archers, and then the archers could have run into Miguel's base. Drinking what? Well, after 8 hours of casting, something very, very alcoholic, but no, I'm actually drinking just water, because, you know, my throat is going to die after 8 hours of casting. We might actually do 10 hours today. Spontaneous 12-hour stream, let's go. So, right now Nili's berries are actually evacuated because of these archers and skirms denying it. Nili is only one range. On the way to Castle Age his, Miguel actually picked up a little bit faster, so he's gonna have crossbows a little bit faster as well, and Miguel is winning water too, so this feels better and better for Miguel. He's gonna have better Castle Age timing. He sold his stone to do this though, so the reason why Miguel is beating Nili to Castle Age here, and the reason why Miguel is able to afford winning on water and winning on land at the same time, is because he actually sold his stone, which is an ambitious move here, but it might work. Nili actually wants to go back to knights. I like that idea. Because Miguel doesn't have a huge amount of archers, so knights could be a really useful unit here. And if I'm not mistaken, that was a big demo blast over here. Nope, it's just fire galleys. So Nili just took down the fire galleys of the opponent over here in the middle pond. Miguel is still looping around to try and find an angle to attack. He might be able to pick off a vill or so with the crossbows on the wood line, but even that seems somewhat unlikely. Let's just say that. So we're gonna have some more archers coming in, and Miguel wants to attack like from both sides. Miguel knows that Nili has two wood lines. This one and this one. And look at the timing on these. Almost perfect timing. Nili has an overchop here as well. Nili has to evacuate this wood line, but this is worse. He has to potentially jump into houses here, because otherwise he's gonna lose the vills. Mass migration coming in here for Nili. Tries to drop a house to prevent those crossbows from breaking in. Miguel has 2 vill kills right now on his name, although this army has been cleaned up. And the knights can now potentially clean this one up as well. So this may not be as bad as it actually looked like for Nili. Obviously, he lost 3 vills, which is far from ideal. But now his opponent doesn't really have an amazing army. It's only crossbows, and Nili's gonna have elite skirms and knights. Nili has Khmer farming, and the second TC will be dropped. And remember what I said, that Miguel sacrificed all the stone he had to get up to Castle Age faster. So I don't think that it was enough for Miguel to just kill Freevilles here. Because Freevilles, in exchange for the fact that he will be staying on 1 TC for quite a while, I see a couple of camos being added here by Miguel as an answer to the knights. Now elite skirms are coming in here, and Miguel is probably gonna lose 1 vill over here. Indeed, that is the case. And now we're gonna have... Oh yeah, there's a vill inside. This guy is quarantined apparently because his health is very low. So indeed, Nili forgot about this vill here. But let's just call this quarantine. He is not healed yet. When he's healed, he can leave it. Now, that was a beautiful fight for Miguel, though. Let's do a quick rewind on that one, because that was absolutely amazing. So here comes Miguel with the camels to try and push the skirmishers. Demo pops up from the other side, sinks both of the galleys here, or fire galleys. And now Miguel is gonna clear up the entire army of Nili over here. Nili still will have the better eco in the long run, but unit composition-wise, he's gonna be in a bit of a trouble, because, you know, the thing is that he has knights and elite skirms, and honestly, camels might be able to deal with both at the same time. So we will have a third TC coming in here for Nili on the stone mine, but it's gonna be a little bit difficult to get that up. Now Nili's knights have +1 defense only, not even bloodlines, so it's not like they will be very, very efficient against those camos over here. Nili only has fire galleys inside, as he's trying to go for monks to get some conversions in, but he's getting overrun by crossbows and camos, and I feel like now Nili is in big trouble, because he now doesn't have the army to just fight this one flat out. So at this point, you are gonna have a second range for Nili just now. I guess his own crossbow play might be the best response to that, like crossbow and elite skirm, but that might be a little too late for this one, because now he has to do a mass migration, and it very much seems like Miguel, after that scary first game, it very much seems like Miguel might be able to turn this into a 1-1 scoreline, because now Miguel's got an untouched eco, and on the other side, Nili is having a rough time here. as Miguel's actually buying stone, so that's probably going to be it for TC number 3 only, as Nili, he will make a run for the TC. He completely forgot about the fact that he could jump into houses here for additional safety, but I wonder if it actually matters, because now it's even villager count, but I feel like it's just gonna go worse and worse for Nili, because there will be crossbows coming from this side, and crossbow camo play seems to be pretty decent here for Miguel. Miguel still isn't controlling the water, but it's not like he actually really wants to commit to that. He probably just wants to push Nili on land. As another wheel dies here. Miguel has killed 14 wheels in this game. Nili only killed 1. And now the crossbows will take the hill. And even though... Actually, they have ballistics. So it's all about crossbows just juking the arrows and killing as many wheels as possible. They will end up with like 3 or 4 wheel kills here still. And it's a 10 wheels lead now for Miguel. Nili actually has 2 knights coming in for a counterattack, but there is 1 or 2 camos here to clean this one up. It's going to be 1 wheel killed, maybe a second one as well. Not ideal for Miguel, but I mean, he still has a 10 wheels lead or so. So it's not the end of the world, although that could have been an avoided villager kill. Still, Miguel is now on 3 TCs. He is massing his crossbows, and Miguel will face a Nili who's gonna have 4 TCs now, so Nili just wants to boom here, but he only has 10 on food. Like, Nili's food income is by far not satisfactory to make not even 3 TCs, let alone 4 TCs work. So, now the crossbows are coming in from Miguel, and they will just melt the converted camos really easily. Elite scrims are nice over here, but at this point Nili is missing ballistics. Both of the players are missing all Castle Eco upgrades, so neither of them have an amazing economy behind this one. But it looks like Miguel might try to go and secure the pond, go for some extra fishing eco. Nili wants to Ewing that relic, so it very much seems like he's preparing for a long game, which is probably his best shot at this point, because in a short game he has no chance. So, 3 TCs still for Miguel, and for the time being, Miguel has a 12 wheels lead. I think this is a good moment to do a little bit for catching up with the set until Miguel unleashes the crossbows, which is going to occur right now. He picks off the monk here, and now Nili's remaining units are not going to be able to hold this one back. He's at 7 army only. That's the problem that Nili is facing. Like, the only way Nili somehow survives this one is if the TCs are able to keep away those crossbows, but that seems impossible. And Miguel will be booming on 4 TCs as well, so it's not like Nili will outboom him. In fact, Nili is nowhere close to outbooming Miguel here. Because it's 74 vehicles and 37 army, 111 population against 76. And this is just gonna be worse and worse for Nili, as he will constantly get his wheels picked off from crossbows. Yes, that's gonna be TC number 4 as well for Miguel. And what is Miguel up to? Is Miguel gonna buy a castle for himself? It kind of feels like it. He's got the momentum. It will be extremely expensive to buy a castle, but I don't see any other reason of sending these wheels forward. What? What are they up to? I mean, right now, Miguel has the momentum to drop a castle. He's 8 on stone. He still needs to buy stone if he wants to get that castle up, but the clock is ticking because he's losing his crossbow numbers over here. Camo is now trying to jump on the Scorpion. And, oh, I see. It's a forward siege aircraft first. I first thought that they would just use these wheels as a fishing unit, because they were actually converted to fishermen. But I would assume that Miguel wanted a forward castle, but he never had the stone for it. He will probably buy at least like 300, but he probably doesn't want to buy like 600 stone overall. So now the elite skirms are actually going to push away Miguel from this place. And as I said, I think the window was closing for Miguel to drop a castle in the opponent's face. Counterattack with the crossbows coming in on the north, and it looks like we'll have a full cavalry switch now from Miguel. So it's possible we're just going to see Cavalier eventually. For now it's going to be Knights obviously, but Bloodlines +1 defense coming in. There is a demo queued up for Nili here, as like Nili is trying to convert those fire ships. He's trying to use the skirmishers against them. I think that Miguel's playing very passive today. Like, he's actually playing a very, very slow-paced game, and I feel like he has a bigger lead than what he anticipates. Anyways, Nili is still missing a lead skirm, he's behind by 14 vills, massive deficit in economical upgrades as well. So I just don't know how Nili could actually come back into this game, I'm not gonna lie. He's at 4 relics, that's a nice start. That's something I'm gonna give him. And if Nili is given time, he will be able to reboom in here, so don't underestimate the Khmer in what could be potentially a long game. Nili's gonna go for defensive castle to prevent the crossbows from marching into his base. The problem that he's facing, as I said, is that he's still up against, you know, superior villager count, and now the knights show up. This is why Miguel wasn't pushing, he was waiting for the knights to arrive. A demo will be here for Nili, and it's going to be a very underwhelming demo. Nili's still going to get some conversions in here, potentially. That was... Did you see that? That was 2 insta-converts. What was that even? Like, half a second convert on 2 knights. That was brutal. It wasn't just 1 insta-convert, that was 2 of them. Now, these monks will still end up dying over here to the knights, and now, oh, the romantic castles. This is something that we're gonna have to rewind over here, because while we were looking at those insta-converts, we didn't see this. So Nili making the castle over here, and as I said, Miguel was actually focusing on dropping the castle in the opponent's face as well. And Nili was also focused on microing this, so he didn't notice that his vills are getting slaughtered in here. And guess what? This castle is unlikely to go up here for Nili. And while these are going to be very, very romantic looking castles, I think the only person that's gonna have a castle in the next 2 minutes is gonna be Miguel. So, oh, Nili comes in with the knights, tries to snipe the mangonels. 1 mangonel goes down, the second mangonel goes down, but the third one won't. And it looks like Nili is gonna send everything he's got. Here he goes. Now that could be a proper doubt castle, because I think Nili has the chance to get it up. He's going to lose everything. Yeah, that's a proper doubt castle. 94, 95, 98, 99, and GG. Well, technically Miguel hasn't gotten his castle up, but he will actually get that up, and I mean, Nili is at 65 population, so that's actually the proper doubt castle. Miguel also not doing a good job preserving his vills in here, and now it's a petard rush. Nili can't afford petards here. Like, Nili is imping, but he can't afford petards, so his castle will just be rushed down by petards. This mangonel, by the way, remember that the castle took a lot of damage from mangonels while it was under construction, so Nili already starts with lower HP. And correct me if I'm wrong, but this castle for Miguel is on the hill, Nili's castle is not. Which means Miguel's petards are actually attacking downhills, and Nili's petards are attacking uphills. Because the damage that each petard blast does on those buildings seem to be massively different. So that probably comes from that fact. Nili tried another castle here, only to be denied once again. And I mean, Nili is omega dead. He's at 71 population. Not even remotely close to being able to win this game. Miguel takes game number 2 over here on Frigid Lake. I feel like it was just flat out better execution from Miguel all over the place. The ability to use the crossbows to just destroy Nili's Wood Eco was beautiful. And it looks like we're gonna have to do the next game from Rex as well. So let me hold that up. This is gonna be Northern Isles. Actually, oh yeah, I think it just finished. Like, it probably finished half a minute ago. Which means that the recorded game website is still processing the recorded game. That's actually a little bit annoying, because that means that we can't actually jump in it live. And, you know, the thing is that the lobby disappears if the players finish the game. So you can't just... As long as the players are playing in the game, you can jump in and start from the beginning. But, yeah, now... we're gonna have to wait a little bit here, unfortunately. So we're exactly one game behind compared to the live set. I'm using AoE2 Insights for Rex. That, like, everything else is disgustingly slow getting the Rex out. AoE2 Insights almost has instantaneous Rec access. So that's by far the best for recorded games nowadays. But as I said, it needs some time to process the rec. I'm not sure how long, but I'm hoping that, you know, it's going to be a thing. Let's see, show details. Oh. Okay, we have the rec. So, yeah. I used to use like the Siege Engineers recorded game database, but that actually takes a lot of time to get the recs from the live servers. So currently AoE2 Insights basically get you the recs like half an hour, not even half an hour, like 10 minutes after the game was done. All right, so we will now jump into the next game over here. We're going to Northern Islands. Welcome to home map of Nili over here. Nili will be playing Portuguese in yellow on the left side, and right side is going to be Miguel in red as Berbers. Two very decent water civs, and Nili will only transport the scout for the time being. As I mentioned before when I casted this map, I feel like, considering how safe your fishing eco is, I like what Nili is doing. You can easily pop out 2 fishing ships before your opponent would be able to hit you. And this is going to give you a massive eco boost. This is a very, very good strategy here from Nili. To do this, archers are, well, just scout coming in right now for Nili. And he has shown that scout to Miguel, and it looks like neither of the players will land. So far, in every single game that we have spectated, at least one of the players has attempted a landing. And Nili going out for the huntables as well now. Nili is actually a very, very good water player. So is Miguel. However, one thing that you have to consider is that this is Nili's home map. He probably has a good game plan for it, and this is a somewhat awkward map to play, as this is what Miguel was thinking. Miguel was thinking transporting scouts all the way to Nili's island. That's not something that I was expecting, to be honest. So it looks like he would just stay home, go for the stable and transport scouts to Nili's island. Does Nili have a spearman? Nili does not. And this is still wide open. Nili will spot this, but I don't think that Nili has the chance to close this hole before it actually is going to be a disaster. Nili is going to have to queue up spearman over here, and look at where Miguel is placed in the archer range. Now that is what I call an element of surprise. I didn't expect this strategy at all. Nili will be able to save all but one of his vills, and he will exchange that vill's life to a scout. But still, at this point, Nili is gonna have to scramble for defense, but speaking of Nili, that is a beautiful move. He's gonna be able to intercept that vill. The vill will have to make a run for the transport ship, as Nili will probably try to block the transport from escaping. Now the spearman, however, for Miguel is poking down Nili's scout, and the vill, I think, will pop out again. Still, Nili is gonna be able to potentially prevent this archer range from being finished, which would be a huge thing for him. Nili ended up only losing one vill. The gate is gonna close just in time, and indeed, Nili is going to potentially even wall this entire archer range in, because that would be the best thing that he can do. Here comes the vill, but there is 3 spearmen that are here to take him down. No combat ships at all from either players. Both players are just sort of chilling back home. Miguel defending his fishing eco with the fire galleys. Nili is actually pulling up his fire galleys to try and sink that transport. But I honestly have to think that now Nili has a 2 vills lead. That comes from the fact that he added some fishing eco, like extra. 6 versus only 4. And this is why you always add some fishing eco, like extra, on this map, because your opponent is very unlikely to punish you for that. There is just so big distance between the opponent's starting dock and your starting dock that it's going to be insanely hard to get fire galleys or even galleys to the opponent's fishing eco here. Now, it very much seems like Nili wasn't able to find a transport, and a second archer range will be built over here by Miguel, something that Nili doesn't see right now. Nili also landed with the 4 spearmen. I'm not sure what he wants to do with 4 spears here. I feel like those spears would have been more helpful back at home, helping out, just ensuring that these scouts won't cause more damage. Castle Age coming in at the same time for both players, as Nili is going to run around with a couple of spearmen to just scare Miguel here. Scouts on the way for Miguel as well. Nili is still looking for that landing. He knows exactly that Miguel is going to retry with the archer range. The question is, does he know that the range is coming up over there? And the answer is probably no. He has no idea that that's happening over there. He's patrolling a spearman here, so he will spot the Vil, which means that he knows that this Vil is on his island, and indeed, he spots the Vil, and this Vil might even lead him to the archer range. It very much seems like Miguel wants to use an archer to snipe the spear, or smite the spear, and save the Vil. But I'm not sure if that Vil is going to survive. It's gonna be close. This is a Berber Vil, and it looks like he will survive. If it actually survived, it was... well, it did survive. It was because it was a Berber Vil. Now, that is one Vil being picked off by Nili on Miguel's island with just those random spearmen, as Miguel is forcing Nili back on water for the time being. Nili also has a lot of docks, and look at that fish boom that Nili has. It's still just 6 fishing ships, but I would think that Nili will add quite a lot of extra fish here in Castle Age. War Galley immediately for him, as his opponent still has that Vil alive, and will have the Siege Workshop coming in on Nili's island. Nili's stone here has been denied. His other stone is on the other side of the island, so he could actually go for like defensive guard towers if he wants to. And I think that from now on, Nili just wants to play this one just like standard islands and just want to go for a fish boom, something that Nili loves to do. Like, he's one of the big fish boomers of competitive Age of Empires. Eco upgrade wise, it's relatively close. No horse color for Miguel, although he only has 4 farms, so it's not really a big deal. And on the other side, Nili has 4 farms, but he has horse color. Other side, we have Boso as well for Miguel, so I think the ecos are relatively even as things stand. Now, once again, Miguel does a nice job at protecting that Vil and ensuring that that villager is not gonna get picked off. That's extremely important because that's what you need to make more stables, siege workshops, whatsoever. Nili's gonna go for a mangonel defense for the time being, as it looks like Miguel's ships will go straight to his fishing eco, and Miguel might just ignore the combat ships of the opponent and just try to jump on the fishing eco, or just flat out past the opponent's fishing eco entirely. Nili's trying to use that transport to block the fishing ships, or the fire ships here. Knights are out for Nili, and you are gonna have this unit of Miguel's army cleaned up. Mangonel coming in for Miguel here. He's gonna have to be careful, because if he ventures too close to the shoreline, he's gonna get taken down by the fire ships of Nili over here. Nili only has 4 spearmen on the opponent's island. He never actually attempted another landing so far. Fire ships are now coming in, as Miguel also tries a ground attack, and now Nili could be in trouble, because that's a lot more fire ships than Nili wants to fight against. Here comes a big demo though. Here comes a big demo, and Nili could sink the entire fleet of Miguel over here. Nice splits from Miguel. That was beautiful splits. That was just some beautiful splits over there from Miguel. So Nili had an opportunity to sink some ships, but that passed away. So now Nili is gonna have a hard time preserving his fishing eco, and on the other side, camos are also cleaning up Nili's knights over here, and there is no overchop for Nili. Oh boy, he's in trouble, I believe. Like, he's in actual trouble, because now there are camos rampaging his eco. Keep in mind that Nili was 1 TC for quite a significant amount of time, just now finished with the second, whereas Miguel now has a decent amount of TCs, namely 2, but Nili actually transports some knights to the opponent's island. The good news for Miguel is that he's got the stable back at home, so he can make some camos to stop this one, but this is definitely one way to get back into the game for Nili, who has been in a rough spot for quite a while. Miguel is adding quite a lot of fishing eco as well, so at this point, Miguel seems more and more likely to be able to outboom his opponent here. Still, Nili is going to kill some Vils, but retaliation... Oh, actually, that's beautiful from Nili. Look at that. 2 mangonels being picked off, and eventually these fire ships will take down the siege workshop as well. I feel like Nili is still on the back foot here, because he's behind by 4 wheels. He doesn't have full control over his island, so he's getting pushed pretty heavily over there. But I think that he's slowly progressing. So now more spears will come out here. Nili is probably just trying to snap down this wheel here, because that's probably the most important thing for Nili right now. Take down that wheel, because Nili seems to have the water advantage, so he just needs to ensure that that wheel goes down and no more stables or nasty buildings come up in here. Another mangonel is out for Miguel. Nili sends some fire ships to Miguel's base to try and clean up the fishing eco, but Miguel will just meet it with his own fire ships, so it should be a fairly even matchup, but eventually Miguel should grind down Nili's ship numbers. Nili is dropping TC number 3 though. So now we are gonna have even military count. Veil count is still very, very close, so it looks like we could be in for a long game. Nili once again is trying to send a couple of knights over to the opponent's island over here. His fleet has been cleaned up on the northern side of the map. Eventually this fire ship will take down the siege workshop, and that's going to be value there for Nili. This is why he needs to take down this vill over here to prevent repairs or prevent another siege workshop from coming up. So let's see what else do we have here. This is a nice move from Miguel. He could find quite a lot of fishing ships from Nili over here, and he will just bump into those randomly. Nili is going to lose quite a lot of fishing eco here. And with that, Nili's economy once again is going to be a lot weaker than that of his opponents. Nili once again lands with one single knight here to try and get some damage done. But at this point, it is just going to be 1 or 2 wheels killed at best for Nili. So I feel like slowly but surely Miguel is taking over. 77 wheels to 64. Army numbers looking better and better. And Nili still isn't able to clean up this part of his base. No one actually is contesting the middle island just yet. That's something to point out. But after all, we're gonna have Nili pretty much getting cleaned up from water. And from this point on, his opponent has water control, and his opponent has a foothold on his island, whereas Nili doesn't seem to have any momentum, and it's looking worse and worse for the Hippo, as this would push him down to a 2-1 deficit and a match point for Miguel. Nili is still able to push the fishing eco of his opponent a tiny bit, but not to a massive extent. And now it is all about our Miguel, red player, pushing Nili's base. Nili's gold mine here is fairly exposed as well. Nili is actually heavy on stone, and like that stone could go 2 ways. Number 1, you can make a defensive castle and hope to clean this one up. Number 2, you understand that you are a lot behind and just try to go and drop a castle in the opponent's island to make the game very chaotic and potentially secure a win that way. But at this pace, even though Nili has gotten redemption and that's going to help him in the defense, Miguel is going to click into Imperial. He's gonna get Galleon and Cannon Galleon, and he will just level on Nili's base here. Nili's base here and overall the island is so thin that Cannon Galleons from this side and this side can level every single building there. So I feel like this might be an Imp GG here, because I don't see Nili getting up to Imperial, and without Imp he's gonna have 0 chance of, you know, keeping his base intact. So yeah, I just feel like we're waiting for the time when Miguel reaches Imperial and Nili just calls it. Let's see. Let's do a little bit of fast forwarding over here, because I still want to catch up with the live set in here. Nothing major happening, so Nili is still preserving his his somewhat of a water control. Castle comes in here for Nili as well for defensive purposes, which means that he's going to clean this up over here relatively easily, but as I said, Miguel is almost up to Imperial, as Nili, I think, just wants to transport a monk for this relic over here. He just wants to play the long game, but I feel like, as I said, look at Miguel. Miguel already teched into War Galley, he's ready to go for Galleon when Imperial Age hits, careening as well, and I think Miguel could just send a bunch of wheels to stone and drop a castle on Nili's island to ensure that he can just get a couple of traps out and destroy Nili's base, or alternatively, chemistry and bombard cannon could be a thing here as well from this siege workshop, if he feels like he can take this castle down with bombard cannons. I don't think that he needs to risk that. He can just go for the Galleon play. Nili just now clicked up to Imperial, as his monk here in the middle is also gonna get taken down by the War Galleys, but let's see if the Cannon Galleons will be coming anytime soon. Nili will probably try to play... wait, no, he can't go Fast Fires because he's Portuguese. That's even worse. If he was Italians, then Fast Fires would work. In this case, he's gonna have to go for his own Galleons, but that's gonna take some time until he gets there in large quantities. And right now, these Galleons are missing... or they do have everything but chemistry. Without chemistry, there is gonna be no Cannon Galleons for Miguel, that's for sure. So it looks like he's going to be just playing this one slowly, denying resource control at the edges. Here's chemistry for a red player, and I just don't know how Nili is going to be able to get back into this game. Like, he's making fire ships, but those will be obstinate in Imperial. Another castle comes in for Nili. He just wants to redock here in the front, as we have a scale boarding and bloodlines for Miguel. I think that for Miguel, he could also land here and just start spamming Hussar, because this is so open for landing, and Nili is just so unable to defend this part that just landing there with 5 stables and spamming light cavalry in here could actually be very devastating for Nili's economy. And indeed, now the Galleons will just try to surround the island and deny all accessible resources, as we will have Fast Fires for Miguel. Nili, what is this? Wait, did Nili just yoink a relic away from the opponent's island? Yeah, he did. Okay, I thought that he actually transported the monk from the middle over here. Nope. It's Nili trying to go for a relic haste. Too bad that it's not going to matter that much, because it very much seems like Nili is going to die. I mean, he's gonna try to tech into Galleon, but he only has fletching right now, and his opponent will just overrun him with fast fire ships. With Galleons, you need good numbers, and I feel like Miguel will just overrun him, as I said. And we haven't even mentioned the fact that Miguel's economy is like light years ahead of his opponents. Potentially, like you see Hussar already being teched into. I'm not sure where that Hussar will be coming from to Nili's island, but most likely just landing here and spam Hussar from a stable or two. 2 cav archers and a random archer here for Miguel, still forming an army. Keep in mind that one of Nili's gold mines here is completely denied, so Nili is on a timer from that perspective as well. And also, Miguel could drop a castle in the middle, something that I would love to see from him, because a castle in the middle would ensure that he has control over these neutral resources here in the middle, which would be extremely helpful. Bloodlines and... well, that's husbandry now, and forging coming in for Miguel as well, as... at this point, I just don't know how Nili could turn this one around. He needs like one amazing water fight. But even then, I just don't think it's actually possible. He's behind every single aspect of the game. And Bracer just now coming in. And guess what? Like, see? Miguel's already going dry dock. Miguel is going for plate barring armor. And Nili is gonna go for the Fatorias. Yay! Now, the thing is that Fatorias will not do that much to you here. And the reason why is because there is so much extra gold and stone in the middle, and there is also time limit. Obviously, infinite resources is nice, but I think that villagers gathering resources will be a lot more population efficient. Elite Cannon Galleon coming in for Miguel as a tech, and here's the landing with the castle for Miguel. He actually transported Hussars from back home, interestingly. So he made Hussars back home and sent them over here. And that's going to be a famous one villager castle, but considering that Nili is busy with other things, like, for example, not dying here, this castle is probably going up, and there is reinforcements coming in to build it. And now, ship numbers, 17 to 24. Nili's galleon numbers are slowly climbing up, and remember that he could get the Portuguese unique tech Karak, which would help quite a bit, but now Nili's eco is getting rampaged by Hussar over here, and added to the fact that there's going to be a castle here, there's going to be elite cannon galleons. As I said, I just don't think that Nili's got the momentum to turn this one around. Because his fleet is nice, but I think that at this point his fleet is going to be secondary, and the question is going to be how much he's going to have left from his base in the next couple of moments. Because, yes, he's going to have a decent amount of galleons, and if he grabs chemistry for those and Karak, those will be very, very beastly and will be way better than Berber galleons. The problem is that fast fires is not something that Nili has a direct answer to right now. So the fast fires will be able to slow down the progress of Nili's ships. Nili is on 2 relics. Miguel is only on 1, so Miguel is not really bothering taking the neutral resource in the middle, which is something I dislike. He's got the map control or the water control. Just land here, go for a castle, and start mining that gold and stone in case this game goes very, very long. Now, I don't think that, as I said, the Praetorians will be a factor before the time limit would start kicking in, as Nili will start unleashing his fleet. Fast fires, these are Berber fast fires, by the way. So, if it wasn't enough for Nili that he's up against fast fires, these are Berber ships. So they are blazing fast. They will just rush down those galleons like insanely fast. And now Nili actually is going for this wood line. Nili will soon have issues with controlling wood. Because you see that he's already trying to chop over here. Another castle coming in from Miguel in the face of the opponent. In this one, there's a couple of cannon galleons that are somewhat inactive, as Miguel used the light cavalry to dive in and snipe the trap on the north, and he will do the same thing to the trap on the south. I just feel like Nili is slowly but surely getting grinded down here. I just don't know how he's gonna be able to break out of this one. Miguel needs to make a massive mistake for Nili to have any chance here. That's what I'm thinking. Like, at this point, Nili is just losing villas left and right. He will soon be out of wood. He still has some to chop over here, but I mean, he's losing so much. And as I said, replenishing that fleet is gonna be hard, especially when the Berber fast fires will just annihilate those. Cannon galleons also going in for the kill on that castle, as the Hussars are just trying their best to take down the repair villas. Nili's taking the pikemen. But, like, this game is over, I think. I just don't think that Nili has enough momentum to steer this back under his control. It's 20 galleons versus 17, so this is relatively even. Portuguese galleons are slightly better, so this will probably be just, you know, each army getting completely destroyed over here. But, as I said, now Miguel is targeting TCs here to potentially prevent Nili from replenishing his vill count. Then he will target the monastery for the relics. And indeed, that is going to be a small win here for Miguel on the water. Miguel's actually selling a lot of wood until he gets good price for that, although I don't think that selling wood here is a good idea on this map. Because if you think about that, wood is probably one of the more precious resources. There's a lot of extra gold in the middle, but not extra wood. And Miguel takes game number 3 over here. We're moving into a match point situation. So let's see if we can actually catch the next one. Yes, I think we can. The next game is Greenland, I believe, and we're getting close to catching up. Now, I'm going to request like half a minute of a break because I really need to take half a minute off. But we will jump into the 4th game over here in a matter of moments. So stay tuned for the next game. Alright, let's go with the next one. So we will jump into Greenland, and we will have, once Capture wakes up, we will have Nili on the north in yellow as Koreans, and on the south it's going to be Miguel as Red Indians. Indians is a civilization that's going to benefit massively from the shore fishing over here, whereas Koreans, that is arguably one of the worst civs picks here, isn't it? Koreans don't have damos. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that the Koreans might be one of the worst picks in here, because the thing is that with the water fighting, you always want to have that, danger of being able to destroy the opponent's army with damos. I mean, I can see Koreans working here, but I think a civilization that at least has demo raft would have been nice. Now, Nili comes in here and tries to snipe a will from Miguel. Miguel has a defensive spearman, so that should not be a possibility. And both players will be safely fishing over here. Now I'm starting to understand Nili's strategy, by the way. While I was drinking, I was looking at this stone mine and a mining camp, and now I'm understanding it. So what Nili wants to do is drop a lot of towers, and when he gets to Castle Age, which is pretty much going to happen relatively fast because he's very, very heavy on the shorefish, he will have the free guard tower upgrade, which will give him a very, very nice map control over the middle. As I said, I still dislike the fact that you have zero demo ship potential, which means that you would lose any kind of fire galley fight. You can actually go through these icy patches with ships. As you see over here, the galleys are actually shooting at the spearmen that are poking that down. But you see, spearmen actually have bonus damage against ships. Each hit from this spearman actually does 12 damage on that galley. So that galley is almost dead. And look at that, the galley, he's running for his life. He's running for his life, and he will be surviving. It was one hit away from getting killed by a spearman. Obviously, I wouldn't want to be the captain of that galley that gets killed by a spearman. Now, here's the thing, Nili comes in with the tower rush, and the only concern that he should have right now is that if you look at Miguel's resources, Miguel is about to go into Castle Age. Where is Nili at with the Castle Age timing? Nowhere close. Now, he is going to force away his opponent from shorefish, which means that the last 200 food that Miguel needs will be extremely hard to get for him. It's going to be extremely hard, and after all, Nili might actually catch up because of that. It looks like Miguel will also be selling a bit of a stone here. He kind of needs to, but this is the situation where he will just have no food eco, so he will be up to Castle Age, but I wonder what Miguel will be able to do with his Castle Age time. Because he's not going to have any food for any upgrades whatsoever, and you see, he has to idle his TC for so long, and I think he will just buy 100 more food. But if you take a look at Nili's resources, as I said, the idea here is that you will push away your opponent from the shorefish and then compensate for your eco deficit by sending a bunch of whales to shorefish while your opponent can't. And you see that Miguel had to have some idle time on his TC, and Miguel still only has 3 on food. So what is he gonna do? Is he going camos without food? No. Is he going archers? How is he going to get the upgrades in that case? That's the problem, that Nili is playing the food denial game really nicely here, and it's just going to be even better for Nili after this one, because he's gonna have guard towers, which is going to make it nearly impossible for Miguel to push through the middle here. This is a very, very nice game plan for Nili. I really like this idea. From him, he's going to click up as well, and as Doubt once said, towers are military, and that's exactly what we're seeing over here. If Nili secures the middle, that also gives him, aside from the extra fishing opportunities, it also gives him a very, very good chance at securing some extra gold mines for himself. So the long-term advantage would be on the side of Nili if he's actually able to secure the middle. For now, there is some more ships here from Miguel. Miguel is making a transport. Miguel is making a transport. What for? You can just walk through here if you want. What is that transport even for? I don't get that. I mean, I understand if he wants to transport, like, I don't know, a couple of archers, as Nili comes in with archers, and guess what? He is denying the stable for Miguel. As I said, Miguel is up to Castle Age, congratulations. He's gonna have 0 army. So this is looking extremely good for Nili. Here's the transport, and eventually the stable goes up. Yeah, it could, like, this transport could be a misclick. That's possible, that it's a misclick. Maybe he wanted a demo. That could be possible, because the demo and the transport ship... Wait, no, that's Fire Galley. It could have been a Fire Galley misclick, because the Fire Galley and the transport are the same locations on the UI grid if you don't swap pages on the dock, which means that Miguel might have wanted to make a Fire Galley, but accidentally made a transport. Nonetheless, Miguel's gonna have water control here, but as I said, Nili will be able to go for his own ships as well, and the Korean guard towers will help immensely. The only thing I dislike about this one is that Nili will have a very, very hard time against demos. Because the thing is that Koreans don't have their own demos, so you can't just say that, okay, I'm going to, you know, trade off my own demos against my opponent's demos, and you also don't have your demos to destroy the opponent's ships with. And it looks like Miguel is gonna go for a forward siege workshop here. Now, the next step for Nili is gonna be war wagons, ultimately. So he's gonna have to start working towards those. And these archers could still be a reasonable force to try and harass the opponent's starting eco with. Nili won't see that there is a siege push, but this is also a bad idea, I think, from Miguel. Why is a siege push a bad idea? Because at this point, the best thing you can do is mangonels, most likely. And guard towers will destroy mangonels. This is not a good game plan there for Miguel. So, whatever happens, Nili's gonna get the star points. That is a turtle ship. What a majestic way to play this one. Nili doesn't even go for a war galley, he's going full turtles. Bam. And then bam. Bam. So I think Nili will now see the siege workshop as well, or at least sees the mangonels. He will need to rush up a defensive guard tower here ASAP. He's gonna rush for a house first. And it looks like he's gonna have to abandon that gold mine. That's a bit of a problem because didn't see this gold over here. So Nili's in a somewhat of a significant trouble. Tries to rush up a guard tower though, and as I said, a guard tower should be enough, especially if he's also able to pressure the opponent's economy, something that Miguel seems to be unprepared for. It's only 3 archers, but they will be enough to idle some vills. Miguel is on 2 TCs, so is Nili, and Nili's gonna have to abandon that tower over here, which makes life a little bit harder for Nili. He can still access gold in the middle, and both players have a decent amount of idle time on them because of the pressure inside their eco, as the turtle ship will just majestically clean up the fire ships over here. I think Nili has the waters, so if Nili is somehow able to clean this one up here, he should be all good to go. He's bringing in some spears, which is going to be alright from the perspective that, you know, you can actually kill camels with them, but the mangonel is going to be a little bit harder to crack. But nice move from Nili over here. Spearmen pop out. Villagers come in to try and get that tower up. Nice ground attack from Miguel. I think it would have been better to just try to use the vills to rush down the mangonel, because this was a lot of vills lost for Nili. He lost... actually, he lost 6 vills in this game. Wasn't that bad, considering he killed 3. His army here is gonna get cleaned up. But now Nili seems to have water control. He didn't actually push Miguel's fishing eco here, so that's going to be a bit of an issue there, and that's once again something that shouldn't have happened here for Nili. No need to lose another vill like that. But he gets his gold mine back, and because of that, he should be all safe. He's 10 villagers behind, 2 TCs as opposed to 2 as well from his opponent. But keep in mind that Nili has shore fishing, which makes it a much more efficient early food eco for him. And he also denies the opponent's fishing eco here, so that should be -2 eco overall. Now, it looks like Miguel will try to keep pressuring this side with some more camos, but I like this from Nili. Just a second guard tower. The other thing is maybe some walls over here and here, so they can just, you know, run past over here. 3rd TC coming in for Miguel in this one, as Nili is slowly destroying that dock with the turtle ship. That's the only remaining dock here for Miguel. Miguel's camels only have 1 pierce armor, so I don't think they will be able to do that much with the TC fire and the guard tower fire around them. You can see that they are actually pretty much losing all their HP by the time they run past here, and Nili is just going to wall them in here, make a spearman, and clean these up. Not really a big deal. I think Nili's guard tower defense here was alright. He just needs to make sure that these don't run past him, and he should be all good to go. So, now we are gonna have even the mill from Miguel going down, and at this point the next step for Nili is to control the water, because that's how he can actually secure an advantage for himself in the long run, like potentially even adding a couple of fishing ships. Miguel will try to redock here on the left side, and we will have to look at the economies of the two players now. It's actually very even. We do have 70 versus 72 vills overall, as Nili's gonna have to repair this house over here. These are Indian camels, so they get through houses or even any buildings very fast. The turtles now chasing down the war galleys overall. So I feel like now it's a ram push coming in here from Miguel. This could be dangerous, like rams and mangonels. If Nili had like 2 knights, this should be all good, but Nili sees what's coming his way, and the thing is that what you have to do is garrison the guard tower, take down the mangonels, and then use the vills that are like not garrisoned to take down the rams. So that's exactly what Nili needs to do. Look at this. Focus down the mangonels, and when they are not actually here to defend, they can just take down the rams. It's still going to be hard defense for Nili, but he's doing what he has to, although he should focus down this ram. He loses the tower in the process, but he's gonna have a turtle ship coming in here to help out. That turtle ship should be more than enough to take down the rams and the mangonels. Other side, what else are we having here? Miguel selling quite a bit of resources here for Bodkin Arrow. I wonder if he wants cav archers or just war galleys. It looks like Miguel wants to play water here, so this could potentially be a very long game in this one. Stone walls coming in for Nili to prevent those rams from bashing their way into his base. He's still behind by 3 vills, but in exchange he's got shore fishing, so I would call this relatively even, especially because look at this. Nili has Boso and Heavy Plow. Miguel only double bit axe, just now getting horse color for that many farms. That's awfully late. Miguel is getting close to dropping a castle, whereas Nili is probably thinking about going into Imperial here with the resources he is banking up. Another dock is gonna go down, and the thing is that Nili doesn't know about this redocking attempt here, so this will catch him by surprise. Luckily, as I said, he's got guard towers solidifying control over the middle, so it's really hard for Miguel to get through those, especially with just a handful of war galleys. And when Nili reaches Imperial, I would say a castle somewhere here on the ice, and then war wagons could definitely be enough to close the game out. Nili is a little too long gold, but he might just sell a bit of a wood and go up. Indeed, Nili is going for the wood selling and even needs to sell a bit of a food. He already clicked up to Imperial. Miguel is actually pretty far away from Imp. He only has 7 on gold, so Miguel's gold build count isn't really amazing. Now, here's the deal. Miguel has a foothold on Nili's side of the water, which could be troublesome for Nili overall, and it looks like Nili is also going to tech into his own galleons, understanding that the galleons will have way more mobility than turtle ships will, so Nili might as well go for his own galleons, plus cannon galleons could be something to consider. Nili adding multiple docks over here. This is a weak spot of Nili's wall. It's only actually no, it's not a plus side though, because there is this little tree behind, so even if you destroy this, you have to get through this stone wall. And Nili's gonna have a mangonel. I like this. Like, see, Miguel also believed that that's a hole, but it's actually not. So Nili has the mangonel here. He just needs to use the mangonel to take down the battering rams over there. Miguel is also thinking about going up, and it looks like Nili is not focusing down those rams, so they will get through his walls. He's probably too busy chasing those galleons in the middle, or war galleys in this case, with the turtle ships, as the guard towers are actually doing a lot of damage to those ships overall. There is no heated shot yet for Nili, but At this pace, heated shot might be a reasonable thing. This is actually a little bit problematic for Nili here. He lost his Mangonel fighting the opponent's Mangonels, which means that he can't use his own Mangonel to take down the Rams. Nonetheless, he's gonna be able to take down the Rams and the Mangonels, and this is a very, very expensive push here for Miguel. A lot of resources are invested into this assault, and there is little benefit that comes out of that, as Miguel will try to drop a dock here, or dock? This is a castle, boys, this is a castle. As Nili actually cancelled War Galley, and now he's going for it again, or he lost the dog that he was researching War Galley on, that's the alternative. Not sure which happened. Nili's up to Imperial, but what is he gonna do with his Imp right now? He's got Galleys. Galleys with Bracer, boys. Here we go. So, the bigger thing now is that you have a bunch of keeps, and I think that this is the moment where you would get heated shot. And if Nili had a castle, Upsong would be a thing as well. So he would have 13 range on these, and well, good luck sailing past that. Nili is gonna finish this DC just in time to prevent the majority of the wheels from going down here. Miguel actually is outbooming Nili quite heavily here, by the way. So it is 112 wheels versus 95 in this one. And on the north, we are gonna have the turtle ships slowly cleaning up the majority of the forces of Miguel. These turtle ships are really sturdy, and Nili is gonna have galleons soon. Now, as I said, because his war galley was delayed, his imp advantage sort of disappeared, and now we're gonna have a lot of water fighting, but still, I mean, Korean towers that you have in the middle will help you so much at just making sure you don't get snowballed. Even if you lose a water fight, it's not like your opponent will be able to take over immediately, because there will be a bunch of towers protecting you. This forward base here from Miguel is still concerning for Nili, and eventually he's gonna have to deal with this, because this stone and this gold is made inaccessible because of that. As now these are galleons with Bracer. Galleon Bracer on the way as well for Miguel, but Nili might actually end up taking the fight before those kick in for the Brazilian. Chemistry is 1 minute away from Nili, but we have careening for Miguel, so I think those war galleys are almost combat ready here, and Miguel could turn around and fight right now, because he is just now getting the upgrades, and now he's got the numbers advantage and the upgrades advantage as well, with a castle in the middle for Nili on the ice, and a castle here for Miguel. This is going to be extremely important castle, because this is the narrowest way, or like the easiest way to get from one island to the other. So it would make sense to try and get through there. Being able to control that is going to be massive for Miguel, I would say, as we do have 8 galleons here versus 10. There's a slow and steady turtle ship majestically just sailing in here in an effort to take down some more of those galleons. And on the other side, what are we going to have? Are we going to have Miguel with the win here on water? But this is what I was referencing to, that multiple towers here will ensure that Miguel cannot just snowball the game here. Nonetheless, now it is traps coming out for Miguel, and I feel like Nili's initial advantage sort of faded away, and this is an even game we're looking at right now. Nili is on 3 relics, Miguel is only on 1, and Miguel's 1 relic is in here. But I feel like Nili wasn't able to finish off the game with the advantage that he has gotten from short fishing, and now it's gonna be an even game overall. Traps are slowly coming out. The towers are still missing Upsong from the upgrades department, as we're gonna have Shipwright coming in for Nili. Now, one thing that we have to consider is that Indians, I'm not sure how well their dock actually looks like. Yeah, Indians are missing Shipwright, which will be an important deficit compared to Koreans here. Ship numbers, however, getting better for Miguel. 29 versus 22. Nili also has a couple of turtle ships in here to help out, and more importantly, towers. Bombard cannons are in for Miguel though, and Nili needs Upsong here for those towers, like ASAP, because that will prevent those bombard cannons from becoming like a factor at all. And also heated shot, I'm not sure if Nili has that, but if Nili gets Upsong and heated shot, that's gonna be like an absolutely dominant way to control the middle, and because those keeps will just annihilate the fleet. of Miguel. And remember that Miguel is gonna have a harder time replenishing his fleet as well, because as I said, he doesn't have shipwright, which is gonna have its long-term effect. Meanwhile, Nili is still sort of struggling to clean this one up over here. He didn't actually make an effort to get this one clean, but he will have to, because that's one of the gold mines that he desperately needs. That needs to be accessed. Some more towers coming in from Nili. And that's heated shot. So that's the first thing that Nili needs here. As we're going to have light cav from Miguel, so he's going to use some light cav, partially as a meat shield, partially as a raiding unit as well. But at this point, considering that wood is going to start becoming a luxury commodity at some point, you will start adding some light cav to just soak up arrow fire in the water combat. So now the spearmen are going to rush down that mangonel, but Nil needs to clean this one up like ASAP. With a castle some round over here, because he will need this gold mine, he will need the wood lines as well. As things stand now, that tower is actually starting to be very, very useful. It does, look at how much damage this tower does from a distance, and it doesn't even have the extra range yet on it, as Miguel's fleet is slowly getting destroyed here. As I said, the thing here for Miguel is that replenishing those fleet is harder, and he's always constantly forced to fight in the range of those towers, and the combination of the two is going to make it very, very hard for Miguel to keep his fleet intact. And now he's just trickling in ships, and at this point I think Nili is content to just intercept the reinforcements as they are. Still, Nili needs to clean this one up, because otherwise Miguel could easily even make a couple of stables here and just flood light cavalry from that side, because eventually that's gonna be light cavalry coming in here for Miguel. Traps are now out for Nili, and it looks like Nili is gonna think about halberdiers. Detachment of ships looping around here for Miguel, trying to find some lumberjacks, and they will probably be able to go for that. So, Nili is gonna have its trap versus trap over here, right side. Now he has pikemen to slowly poke down the buildings, and he actually sends a bombard cannon to take down these buildings finally. Remember, Nili could be on 4 relics if he takes away this relic from his opponent. And outlasting your opponent, think about it this way. 4 relics plus an impenetrable walls of towers and castles. That's going to be insanely hard for Miguel to defeat. So it's possible that Nili will start to play for the long game, like the actual super long game, and just understand that he needs to outlast his opponent here. He's got the score lead as well. And it seems like Miguel is selling a huge amount of stone. So Miguel wants to like get in one more big push, but he seems to start struggling with gold. Miguel seems to have one more gold mine left, actually a second one as well, but if Nili takes this castle down, this gold mine is gonna be exposed. Now, I did mention that Miguel is coming in here with light cavalry, and that's not something that Nili has an answer to right now. And those light caps could run straight into Nili's base here, but Nili seems to be sitting on a lot more gold available to him, and keep this in mind, and that's the most important thing. The middle has a huge amount of gold. As long as Nili has the middle, Nili has more gold. And that means that he just needs to sort of outlast his opponent here and hold him up from the middle, and Miguel will run out of gold at a quite rapid pace. Now, Nili needs to make sure that he doesn't actually lose all his vills while doing this, but indeed 4 relics plus the fact that he's got all the extra gold mineable in the middle is going to be a massive thing. And shipwright. With Nili having shipwright with Koreans and Miguel not having shipwright with Indians, the combination of all of these factors will mean that Miguel's gonna have a hard time just securing this win. I don't know how he could push away Nili from the middle, because he can never be super cost efficient. Nili is still missing the tower unique tech. That is what grinds me a lot, because these towers are right now inactive, for example this one, and they could be active killing ships, because you know, there is nothing that prevents Nili from getting that unique tech for towers. Nili is going to lose some traps over here, as the castle on the right side looks like it's gonna stay up, and same thing for this one. This was a little sloppy from Nili, although this trap is still alive, as Nili is now busy with dealing with these light cavalry inside his eco. As I said, Miguel's only way to winning this one might be to somehow cripple Nili's eco entirely. As this castle's gonna go down here from Miguel. It's a very important castle on the front of his base. A little too late with repairs. And the other castle goes down as well. And if you look at the army numbers and the ship numbers, Miguel has 10, Nili has 20, and guess what? Now Nili is going to secure this side. I see skirmishers coming in, but I think that this is starting to be desperation time here for Miguel more and more. Because as things stand, I think this is the moment where Nili is gonna be able to secure this crossing, and Miguel will never be able to get to his side. Nili is gonna have the middle, and I doubted the Korean plan, and in the short run, I also don't like the Koreans. But in a very, very long game like Nili is playing, Koreans are amazing here, so maybe Nili's game plan here was to play a super long game, and for that, Koreans, 10 out of 10 civilization pick, for sure. So, like, the only way Nili loses this game now, I believe, is if Miguel is able to just raid his eco to death, but that seems very unlikely, and you see that Miguel is just unable to do anything here. He can't move out to take down the towers. As I said, the only big mistake that Nili is making here is not having Upsong for those towers, because that should be something that he has by now. And eventually Nili will need to secure this crossing as well with a little bit more. Miguel will try his best to raid his way back into this game, and keep in mind that, like, Miguel is almost out of gold, but that doesn't mean that Miguel won't try with trash units. Eventually, Miguel will run out of resources entirely. I'm going to go into the game and check. We still have 374 years left, which means like less than half time. So we still have about 40 minutes-ish. Actually, a little bit less, something like 30 minutes in-game left before, you know, the time limit would actually be a factor. But it's possible time limit will be a thing here. Now, Nili is also going to attack into light cavalry to see the famous Korean hussars that are absolutely horrendous. But still, at this point, he just needs to apply pressure. Every unit that he destroys, it's going to be harder for Miguel to replenish those than it is for Nili. It's actually a fairly formidable push here on Nili's stone mine, something that apparently the Hippo wasn't expecting. Quite a lot of kept rams popping out alongside hussar support. So, Nili is sort of not having a safe gold mining operation and a stone mining operation over here. That being said, I still believe that, like, Nili is already causing a lot of damage to his opponent over here. So, like, he's taking down TCs. Miguel has 40 idols right now, and I feel like Miguel will soon struggle really badly at replenishing his army, navy, whatsoever. And I think if Nili has a consistent stone income from this stone mine, he can start crawling up with towers all the way across the land as well. There is some cannon galleons, no elite on those, so they only have 13 range right now. And Miguel is trying to snap the bombard cannons. Nili is a little bit sloppy letting that happen. It's actually very, very sloppy from Nili. That was some massive miss micro there on the bombard cannon. Still, obviously, he's focusing on this fighting over here as Miguel starts making rams to soak up the arrow fire, probably preparing for one big push. And Cavalier. Nili actually wants to go for Korean Cavalier. That is brutal. And look at this, Nili just has insane amount of gold, and he still has a lot of gold to mine. And even if he runs out of gold in the middle, Nili is gonna have the relics. So, yeah, this push feels scary, but I just don't think that this is gonna be enough, and Nili is gonna go for the Korean Cavalry. Like, they are missing +4 defense, they don't have bloodlines. Korean Cavalier is awful. It's still going to be decent to deal with skirmishers though, and that's something that we have to add. And it's also going to deal with Hussar, as now Nili is even tower rushing the remaining gold mines of his opponent. So if you're Nili, you might even make a case for forward siege workshop, onager, and cutting down these trees. Just to starve your opponent out of resources, because that's what Nili's game plan is. You gotta go with that, and just try to really starve your opponent out of resources here. And now, once again, a big water fight, but this might be the last water fight for Miguel. He's out of gold. So, everything that he loses here, he's gonna have 0 chance of replenishing. And I see 20 galleons for Nili, 18 for Miguel. A little bit sloppy from Nili to let those cannon galleons be sniped. In fact, that's very, very sloppy over there from Nili. but still, that doesn't change the fact that his lead is so big that it seems impossible for Miguel to counterattack this one. I mean, Miguel is trying his best to raid his way back into the game, and the truth of the matter is that he's doing a decent job with that, but he now is going to lose his entire fleet, and I mean, at this point, Nili will just drop towers here on the wood lines, and Miguel will actually run out of resources here. And once Nili gets chainbotting, even though those Korean Cavaliers are still, like, junk, like actual junk, that's going to be enough, and Nili evens it out, and we will go into game number 5 over here. What a banger. And I think 3 months ago, no one would have expected Nili bringing Miguel to a 5-game set over here. I did mention that, like, Nili went for the full-time playing thingy, when? Like, in March or so? And because of that, I said that I expect Nili to, like, start having results from that in 3 months, which is around this time. So it looks like they actually finished with the 5th game because this one was very long. So we are going to have to get the recorded game for the last one. But yeah, I was basically saying that I would expect about 3 months of time until Nili's practice and, like, hardcore grind actually starts having its effect. So yeah, we are I'm gonna try to get the final wreck over here, which may be a little bit harder than I initially anticipated, but anyways, AoE highlights or AoE 2 insights doesn't have it yet, so we might need to wait a moment. The final game is going to be Marketplace, so it's a nice and unique map overall, and would be cool to see what's up. They play 5 games back to back. Isn't that tiring? It is. So I kind of need to wait a little bit for the recorded game. That is why we are sort of stopping in here. Let's hope that the recorded game shows up relatively fast. So let's see. Apparently AoE 2 Insights doesn't have it, so we'll have to wait for the players to submit this, because the players will have to submit this regardless, as this is the final game of the set. So after that, whoever wins will have to submit the recorded games anyways. So makes some sense to hope that they actually get it our way, because like, the biggest problem with AoE Insights as a recorded game repository is that it sometimes doesn't have the games. Like, it just says match cannot be found, and because of that, it kind of, in many cases, yeah, the Siege Engineers recorded game database is lagging behind quite heavily, so it doesn't even have this game up yet. That's the problem with these databases. It takes some time until they are actually, like, getting the game from the servers. So if you're just like half an hour behind, it's actually pretty hard to get the Rex. But let's hope that we are gonna have the games in a moment. I certainly hope so. I'm doing my best here to grab a wreck, but like, trust me, if the wrecks are not distributed, like, centrally, then finding recorded games is pain, because like rec websites all have their own issues. So, yep, I will get that in a moment. And we will jump into game number 5. I'm not sure if I'm going to cast any other sets today. I've been casting for 9.5 hours, and tomorrow is going to be a long, long day as well. So, it's going to be a huge amount of casting as well. 9 hours already is a huge time for me as well. I didn't expect to cast this long today, I'm not gonna lie. I mean, I'm still holding, but it's more about the fact that if I'm not taking a rest, then 4 best of 7s tomorrow is going to be exhausting for sure. 14, yeah, I need the recorded game for that. That's what I'm actually working towards getting, but you guys know how hard it is to sometimes grab those, and theoretically speaking, the players, like, we know that the game has finished, like the 5th one, and the players are supposed to upload their games and report their score immediately, and that's not something that they are doing. So, alright, it looks like I have the rec, or at least I will have it in like 20 seconds, so we should be good to go with the final game. I will probably cast quite a lot of the sets that happened today, but we didn't have the chance to cast those. For YouTube, but I will have to highlight that I will upload the Decider games before. That is because, you know, I will have those live cast, and everything I cast live is easier to upload. All right, we have the game. So let us move. And we're going into Marketplace, ladies and gentlemen. Final game in Nili versus Miguel in this one. Marketplace is a unique 1v1 map which does have neutral markets in 2 corners, which means you can trade with them. Now, the problem that I have conceptually with this map is that this map doesn't have the doesn't have the length to get to trade. This is a very, very open map that relies heavily on raiding, and as such, we're going to have Miguel as Magyars on the left side in red. Right side will be Nili as yellow Franks, and it looks like we'll have a scouts play over here. This is why I think that, like, it's nice to have these markets in the corners. I just feel like this would be more reasonable for a closed map, because at this point, I believe that the fact that this map is super, super open means that this game, like 99% of the cases, ends before you would see a single trade card. It's still a nice map overall, but I would have loved to see this feature used in a map where it actually is useful. So, looks like both players will send out the Vils to the hunt over here. We will have, as I said, Miguel with Magyars in red and Franks for Nili in yellow. In Feudal Age, I prefer Franks with their economy advantage, and like their scouts are comparable to Magyar scouts, but in Castle Age, I'm starting to prefer the Magyars over here, and it looks like Miguel is having a hard time finding his opponent, I believe. Indeed, he's looking for Nili around here, but Nili is actually here, so Miguel is having a hard time finding his opponent, and that's going to buy some precious seconds for Nili. Such like a much-needed time, so to say, for Nili to finish his wars, and that should allow him... There's an overchop here. There is an overchop there. Now Nili is going to take the hill, and he's going to play relatively defensive here with his scouts. Will start to wall himself, and slowly but surely he's progressing towards being at least moderately walled to limit the amount of surface where his opponent can attack him. But at the end of the day, what I like more from Nili's position is that while he's walling himself, he's also Frank, so he's gonna have Horse Color for free, which helps quite a bit in terms of saving up some early resources. Not a fight that Nili wants to take over here, though. Loses one scout in the process, and he will lose another one. And keep in mind that, well, obviously economy-wise, the Franks will be a very, very dominant compared to the Magyars. The Magyars will have the free forging, which also affects the Spearmen, so we could see like a Pike and Knight push from Miguel here in Castle Age or so. Looking at the resources, Miguel has 22 on food. That's an awful lot of vills. He also took all his huntables, or at least he's working towards doing that. Whereas Nili, I think, stopped at basically consuming just the one or two. This one is pretty much rotting in here. You probably want to take at least this one for safety. Anyways, wheelbarrow is on the way for Miguel, and this is a tricky map, because if you click up too early, you will get overrun by the opponent's scouts in feudal. If you click up too late, you're going to end up with knights versus your own feudal age units. Nili is actually gonna go for full walls, and the only problem that Nili is facing right now is this hole. There's a hole here, and all those walls could be completely useless if this hole is actually going to be used by Miguel. So I'm not sure if this is intentionally left open for Nili, but I don't think it is. And here come the scouts. I think Nili can be very, very thankful that these free scouts will show him that hole. Because if these were knights, this would have been a disaster, and now Nili is gonna have to fight this one, loses one will in the process. Oh my goodness, this could have been so avoidable. All these walls going down the drain, this must be very frustrating. I would be very, very tilted. I'm not sure what happened to that hole. I think he initially left that open so that his units can leave his base, but forgot about it. And now the scouts ran into his base. Luckily for him, as I said, this was only scouts getting in. I mean, he's still down 3 wills, but he might be able to sort of retaliate for that with his scouts on the other side. So that is gonna be no will kill over here. Nili is running around trying to find some wills to kill, but Miguel's base is actually fairly well defendable. So at this point, we are not gonna have any major advantage for Nili, but it's not like he's that much in a bad position either. Like, eventually the heavy blow for free is going to pay off. Nili is going to go forging because he knows that his opponent already has forging, so he kind of needs to keep track of that. The fact that Nili doesn't have to invest into bloodlines also helps a tiny bit. So I would say that the two players are relatively even, especially because Miguel has to dispatch a couple of wheels to mine stone. He made some stone gate and the house here. Well, not house, that's a stone wall. My brain also starts slowing down here. I've been casting for 9 hours and 28 minutes, so my brain is a little too slow for now. Anyways, scaleboarding in as well for Nili, so he's gonna have +1/+1 knights coming in pretty soon. Spearmen's poking each other quite relentlessly, as Bloodlines just now finishes for Miguel. And I like this move from Nili, honestly. He actually lures the Spearman into his TC fire, and even if it wasn't the TC fire, I like that he traps that Spearman, or traps that group of Spearmen. This way he can clean them up, maybe use a couple of wheels to help out. That was a nice one overall. Second TC on the way for Miguel, as some more spears are coming up for him, and a forward wheel for potentially a forward siege workshop. I mean, I appreciate that people are like, oh yeah, that's a lot of time, 9 hours casting. Usually what I'm saying is that below 10 hours, I am fully functional. After 10 hours of casting, I am starting to get a little bit tired. But yeah, like, the only reason why I might call it a quits after this one is because I need to be ready for tomorrow, and tomorrow there is gonna be like potentially 4 best of 7s, could be who knows how long, 10 hours as well. And I need my voice for tomorrow as well. Nonetheless, I'm thinking about casting one more set from Rex. So, Nili actually finds a will here, and that is already the second villager he has killed. So as I said, he was able to retaliate for his earlier villager losses, meaning that he's relatively even Steven with his opponent over here. Second TC coming in for Nili as well. So, oh, the sniper, thank you so much for a raid. Welcome everyone from your stream. We are finishing casting Nili versus Miguel from recorded games. Speaking of Nili versus Miguel, that is another wheel killed here by Nili, and now Nili takes over in wheel killing. 5 wheels killed, 3 lost only, but oh boy, this gate isn't holding for long. There is some pikemen here for Nili now, so he went for a pike upgrade. He does have +1/+1 on his knights. His opponent has +2/+2, and Miguel actually converted a will, as he didn't go for a forward siege workshop, he went for a forward monastery to convert the villas that are repairing the walls, but that didn't really work out. Knights from Nili getting closer and closer to pressuring the economy of Miguel. 2 villas advantage overall for Nili right now. And the monk, is it gonna get poked down? Nope, not yet, or at least. The other monk is just healing it. Big fight over here with the knights. These knights are way better for Miguel though. So without the pikeman support, Nili is just going to lose all those knights, and that's exactly what happened. And that's an awful fight for Nili. He's going to take down 1 knight at the end, but he lost like 4 knights himself and 3 pikemen. Now, it looks like Nili has a forward will here, so I would assume that he wants to add like a stable and just keep raiding the opponent's economy. 11 villas lead for Nili. Could this be the moment? Could this be the moment where Nili gets into the decider set of Red Bull? I did mention before this set that I believe that I estimated about 3 months of time until Nili's grind starts to show in tournament results, and we're about that time frame now. So indeed, this is the moment where his grind could actually start showing, especially on a tournament that has relatively unique settings, a lot of unique maps. So at this point, 15 villas lead, looking better and better for Nili. And guess what? He's on 3 TCs, his opponent is also on 3 TCs, but look at Miguel's villager production. All 3 TCs idle. Miguel's got 9 on food. Nili is looking really good here. I'm not going to say he has won this already. There is gonna be a hole here. Oh no. Uh-oh. Uh-oh, that's an overchop. And those are +2/+2 knights. Only 4 of them though, but such a thing can easily snowball games. And if you look at the north, Nili is also losing that fight against the +2/+2 knights. Oh no. Is Nili not looking? Okay, now he realized what's going on, but Nili is losing so many villas. And on the north, he was also losing that fight. That just looks really, really sad now for Nili, because half of his eco is idle, and as long as that hole is open, Miguel will just trickle in the knights and keep all those villas idle. Nili needs to fix that hole. Luckily for him, it's only 3 knights inside his eco, so if he actually fixes the idols, he's still going to have a 14 villas lead. But I have to say that this is actually a little bit more concerning for him now than it used to be a minute ago, because I have mentioned that you need to fix that hole like ASAP. Every single knight that comes in here could be the end of Nili, because this is what Nili's strategy was built on. Just go for a free TC play and, you know, voll yourself up. But the voll yourself up part kind of failed to happen now with that overchop. Another wheel goes down, and now Miguel takes over in villager KD 13-9. Nili brings in the wheels to repair the walls, so crisis averted, I would say. He's still 16 villagers ahead compared to his opponent, and overall, that's actually a nice move from Miguel trying to snipe the monk, but that's not gonna be successful. And overall, Nili is still alive. He actually went for a siege workshop for whatever reason, I don't really know why. And now it's gonna be monks, knights pushing him. His army isn't convincing me that much. He only has +1/+1 on the knights, he only has 6 pikemen, and he's facing quite a lot of monks as well. That's probably the bigger concern. That stable is going to stay up for some time, and that monk will be able to scare away those knights for a moment. And if we even get a conversion, Nili needs to lead that knight, and indeed he does, to avoid it getting converted back. Scale mail. on the way. We are gonna have that for the pikemen, which means that they will have be +1/+1, relatively decent overall. It would have been better in retrospective for Nili to have +2 attack instead of +1 or +2 defense here, because that would have buffed his pikemen as well. Nili is still 15 wheels ahead, but Miguel takes a nice downhill shot over here, and Nili's situation is getting heated up here, because he's gonna have to defend from 2 directions, and he's the one on the defensive. The knights now could potentially commit against his base, and Nili is sending all the knights forward. Uh-oh, I don't think that's a good decision here. He had the will advantage, all he needed to do is just preserve that by defending. And now, all those knights will move forward, Miguel will have to track them down, but look at this. The knights are now pushing Nili's base and he doesn't have the numbers to hold this one. He also has a knight over here that he just cleaned up, and Miguel's getting closer in eco numbers. I feel like this is a mistake from Nili. Those knights would have been so much need to hold this one. It would have mattered so much that you have, 4 extra knights here to support the pikemen, to try and snipe mangonels, try and snipe monks, and now Nili launched a counterattack, and he's still raiding his opponent's eco, but I feel like he's suffering from a little bit more pressure than what he's putting on Miguel. And this could have very, very long-lasting circumstances, because now Nili's eco is collapsing. Oh my goodness. He was so close to winning, but now it looks like an uphill's battle, because those +2/+2 Magyar Knights will just annihilate him. And now it is so hard. It would be a heartbreaker for Nili if he actually lost here. Because he played so well in many of the games, and he was so close to beating Miguel. Not only was he 2-2 score against a player that was supposed to be much stronger than him, he also had a massive advantage in this one. Now it's going to be a panic castle. This is full panic castle. Nili has 47 idols out of 74. And indeed, this is so close yet so far for Nili. It felt so close, and every single Red Bull, Nili is inching closer and closer to qualifying. And I'm not gonna lie, if Nili plays like he did today on the next qualifier, then he's gonna have a chance at getting there at the end. Because he played well, but he needs to clean some things up, because small things like holes deciding things, and yeah, the small details going wrong were the ones that actually end up snowballing the game. A very, very back and forth series, where Nili actually took game number 1, he took the 4th game as well, but the Islands game was not going in his favor, and the preceding game either, as Nili is going to exit here in the 5th round. I mean, there is no shame losing to Miguel. Miguel was the clear favorite of this set, and he ends up securing a victory here against